Hello and welcome to the old Fliers. Many young pilots will tell you that they became attracted to flying as a result of playing Microsoft's Flight Simulator. Previous generations might say their interest started by watching a movie such as Dam Busters or Reach for the Sky. For pilots of my generation, it was possibly by reading about the exploits of Biggles. James Bigglesworth, nicknamed Biggles, is a fictional pilot and adventurer, the title character and hero of the Biggles series of adventure books written for young readers by W.E. Johns. Biggles made his first appearance in 1932 in the story The White Fokker, published in the first issue of Popular Flying magazine, and again as part of the collection of Biggles stories The Camels Are Coming. William Earl Johns went on to write nearly 100 Biggles books. Although the chronology spanned both world wars, Biggles never seemed to age. Biggles first appeared as a teenaged scout fighter pilot in the Royal Flying Corps during the First World War. He joined the RFC in 1916 at the age of 17, having conveniently lost his birth certificate. He develops into a calm, confident, competent leader under the stress of combat. He is occasionally given secret missions by the shadowy figure of Colonel Raymond, who is already involved with the intelligence side of operations. Biggles is accompanied by his cousin Algernon, known as Algy, and his mechanic Flight Sergeant Smythe, who accompany Biggles on his adventures after the war. W.E. Johns was himself a First World War pilot, although his own career did not parallel that of Biggles. The author's initial war service was as an infantryman fighting at Gallipoli and on the Macedonian front. He was seconded to the Royal Flying Corps and posted back to England for flight training. Johns served as a flying instructor in England until August 1918, when he transferred to the Western Front. On the 16th of September 1918, his de Havilland DH-4 was shot down on a bombing raid. His observer, Lieutenant Amy, was killed and Johns survived to be taken prisoner of war. Johns remained with the RAF till 1927. In his last role as a recruitment officer, he famously turned down an application by T.E. Lawrence to join the RAF under the pseudonym John Hume Ross. That was later overruled. T. Lawrence was Lawrence of Arabia. Johns styled himself as Captain Johns, although he retired as a flying officer. While the purpose of the Biggles stories was to entertain adolescent boys, in the First World War stories, Johns paid attention to historical detail and helped recreate the primitive days of early air combat, when pilots often died in their first combat and before devices such as pilots' oxygen supply and parachutes had become practical. The bulk of the Biggles books are set after the First World War, after Johns' flying career was over. Biggles has an unusually lengthy career, flying a number of aircraft representative of the history of British military aviation, from Sopwith Camels during the First World War, Hawker Hurricanes and Supermarine Spitfires in the Second World War, right up to the Hawker Hunter jet fighter in a post-war adventure, Biggles in the Terai. In these later books, geographic and historical accuracy is less evident, and the grim detail of the first stories is moderated for an increasingly younger readership. According to the facts in The Boy Biggles and Biggles Goes to School, James Bigglesworth was born in India in May 1899, the son of an administrator in the Indian Civil Service. He spent holidays in England under the custody of an eccentric uncle and inventor who lived in rural Norfolk. Biggles then attended Moulton Hall School in Hertbury, England. His first encounter with an aircraft was with a Blériot that landed on the school cricket ground. Biggles left school and initially joined the army as a subaltern in the Rifle Regiment in 1916. He transferred to the Royal Flying Corps and learned to fly in the summer of 1916 at No. 17 Flying Training School, which was at Settling, Norfolk, flying solo after 2 hours of instruction. Most pilots nowadays solo after 10 hours dual. Then he attended No. 4 School of Fighting in Frensham, Lincolnshire. Posted to France with under 15 hours dual and solo, he first flew in combat in September 1916 with 169 Squadron RFC. Biggles began flying the FE-2B Pusher and later the Bristol F-2B. In late summer 1917, he was transferred to 266 Squadron RFC. With this squadron, Biggles flew the Sopwith Pup and the famed Sopwith Camel. A study of his short stories featuring his First World War exploits suggests that he had a score of 49 aircraft, 3 balloons and 1 submarine, while himself being shot down or crash landing 8 times. Quite remarkable, eh? He was awarded the Distinguished Service Order and the Military Cross and Bar. After the Great War, Biggles' adventures as a freelance charter pilot took him around the world in an unidentified amphibian named the Vandal, thought to be a Vickers Viking Mark IV. Biggles returned to service in the Second World War, initially with a Supermarine S-6B type machine in the Baltic Sea, and then to defy the Nazis and their allies in Norway. He then took up the post of Commanding Officer of 666 Squadron RAF, a special duties squadron that fought in the Battle of Britain before being sent around the world on specific assignments. In the Biggles stories, female characters appear infrequently. Despite brief affairs, Biggles and his chums remain steadfastly single. Johns continued writing Biggles' short stories and novels up to his death in 1968. In all, nearly 100 Biggles books were published. The social context of the books, viewed in chronological order, do become increasingly old-fashioned, even anachronistic, especially those stories set after the Second World War. Jeff Sparrow, writing in The Guardian in 2014, commented, "The later books, in particular, manifest all the racism you'd expect from an Empire loyalist writing in the sour era of British decline." Ouch. John's first book was The Camels Are Coming in 1932. Johns died while still writing Biggles Does Some Homework in 1968. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this walk down memory lane. Comments always welcome. Liking and subscribing promotes new content.